Hi, welcome to the CFES Live Chat. I'm Aubrey Brissett, the Director of Communications here at College for Every Student. And today I'm joined by my friend Mike Lynch. He's the Director of Strategic Partnerships here at CFES. And Mike comes to us from Boston University, where he was Athletic Director, and with 20 years of fundraising and higher ed leadership experience. Today's chat, we're gearing towards our educators and also businesses interested in becoming partners with CFES. We'll be talking about the important links between education, career aspirations, and businesses, and how we can bridge the gap between these cultures. So with that being said, if there are any scholars that are with us today and they'd like to ask Mr. Lynch questions about corporate mentor and mentee relationships or anything else pertaining to college and career partnerships, feel free, and that goes for anybody, to type your comment or question in the chat window right there on your screen. So Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to CFES.
Sure, I've been lucky enough to have been involved with CFES for almost the past decade now. I met Rick while I was athletic director at BU. His daughter was a three-time All-American lacrosse player at BU, and had an opportunity to get introduced, and really was taken by the kind of the core principles of CFES and the mission of the organization, and joined on as a national board member, and now sit on the executive board. And I've taken a year sabbatical from that position to try and help Rick to generate more resources and extend the program into the corporate community, which is what we're chatting about today.
Exactly. So let's put today's chat in context, okay? So CFES is promoting career partnerships with schools because we're realizing that students in the United States in general, they aren't career ready. We've all heard this. And so we want to know, how can we get our students career ready? We're really good at getting them college ready. Now we're in the realm of getting them career ready as well.
It seems like the natural evolution of the organization. College for Every Student, we're focused on getting students into college. But over the last 5 to 10 years, there's been a lot of research that's gone into the fact that students coming out of high school, but also some coming out of college, aren't ready for the demands of the 21st century work environment. So what we've tried to put together is a program that we think is really aggressive in terms of partnering these two, you mentioned earlier, these two disparate worlds of education and business, and working to put those two in the same room and develop essential skills amongst young people that will allow them to transition into the workforce and help keep America great.
Right, and those essential skills being leadership, teamwork, grit,
determination, adaptability. Those are all the types of things that we're really working hard to try and show our students through business applications, that they too can latch on and develop these skills and help themselves to be ready to go to work and be ready to be a productive member of society.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, so CFES, we developed this Career College Readiness Partnership Program, and you're spearheading this. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. It's a program that Rick developed. He asked me to help him to, I guess, present this to local, regional, and national companies. And it's an opportunity really for companies of all size and scope to interact with, engage with their local communities, and really develop the three things we're really working hard to develop are mentorship opportunities between folks who are members of companies and young people, internship opportunities, as well as some job shadowing. So we're hoping to give students a real life look into different types of opportunities for them in their careers. And from the company's perspective, it also gives them an opportunity to get out into the community and transfer some of the knowledge that they have about what it takes to be successful to these young people. So we think it's a win-win for both.
Absolutely. So how can our CFES schools get involved?
Well, there are a number of different ways. Right now, we're in the process of engaging a number of corporations across the country. We'd like to have schools identify themselves as wanting to be involved in this type of program. Typically what happens is, let's say that we're in New York City, we'll be speaking to a company that's housed in New York, and then we'll match them up with schools that are in that local area, and the The best type of situation is where students can actually come to the work site of the folks in the business that we're talking to. And sometimes it's a two-way street, where you have students going to the work site and you have members, company employees going to the schools, and creating real relationships that help each student that's part of our program to become a lot more knowledgeable about whether it's technology or dentistry or medicine, whatever it might be. And a lot of times these are fields that the students may not have ever considered. But because they have a live person that they're working with, and because there's this relationship that's been developed between these two people or this member of a company and a group of young people, the light bulb comes on.
Exactly.
And maybe a future dentist is born or a future doctor is born from those types of interactions.
Great. So how can educators go a little beyond this and even engage alumni and other corporate partners? Do they come to you? Or is this something that they can kind of also form on their own? Yeah,
that's a really good question. And certainly we're doing a lot of the front end work in terms of trying to establish these new relationships with companies. But educators really have an opportunity when you're thinking about the hundreds or thousands of students that they interact with on an annual basis, that many times they don't necessarily think about engaging with that vice president at that company, or the influential person in the community who happens to have a school in their district.
Right.
Those are the types of things that educators have to be alert to, and really, I guess, comfortable in terms of approaching those folks about helping. What I've found in my previous life is that most people, when they're asked to help, they do in some form or fashion. And with this particular program, the educator is not necessarily asking for money, which is a more challenging kind of an ask. They're asking for time. They're asking for support. They're asking for opinion. Those are the types of things. Those are the types of relationships that can really spur and develop some really strong partnerships between a company leader who might happen to be a member of that school district with the educational system and the educators that are actually working in that district.
I like how you talk about, really tapping into the resources that they have. I mean, this, just like you said, like maybe they have, a student that goes to school there. So a lot of it could really stem from parents and looking to the companies that they work at and getting organizations and companies involved through that way.
That's exactly right. And for us, it's those types of relationships that are a lot deeper than someone from the CFES office going out into the community. Certainly we can do that. We've been actively doing that. But the relationship between the school district and those people who can be influential, those are a lot deeper relationships. You'll have that student in your district for, could be up to 12 years. And hopefully over that course of time, there can be some real synergy developed between two people, and a thought can become an action, and then before you know it, we can have a partnership. And that's happened time and again with us. But again, the educators really, they have a real advantage in terms of creating these relationships, because again, many of these folks are right in their own backyard.
Exactly. Good. So how can businesses get involved, and partner with our CFES schools? What's the commitment level?
Sure. Well, we have a variety of different types of opportunities available right now. They range in size from something that's a national program like we have with Ernst & Young in 30 different cities, which is a really, really sizable commitment, all the way down to a local company that might be looking to bring on 4 or 5 interns and really wants to have some type of a screening process. So when you're going through an organization like CFES, you recognize that the students that are involved are serious students. So we something as small as 4 or 5 students coming on as interns, all the way to staff of 1,000 with 30 different cities up and operational in 30 different school districts. So we do that and everything in between. We've had a number of different successes recently, and with law firms, with doctors and dentists, And it's really created a kind of a pathway of opportunity for students who, again, may not have ever considered these types of careers before, or maybe they have and they've just been looking for that connection. So it's been a really powerful opportunity for us to tie together these two worlds that really have a hard time talking to each other. We found, whether it's a company that doesn't necessarily know how to get in and get involved, to the education system, whether it be a high school, middle school, elementary school, that just has never thought of creating these types of relationships with the business community. So our hope is this is going to be very fruitful, and certainly it's going to be able to it'll certainly impact a lot of lives if we can get companies engaged at a really high level.
And I think it's true that a lot of our companies like to offer mentors, corporate mentors, to our students. It's becoming more and more popular. And I think that's because mentoring, as you know, is a two-way street, right? Yeah. It's not just rewarding to the mentee, but very rewarding to the mentor. So companies are using it to really boost up morale and help get their employees out of like the daily grind and into the community. Yeah. So it's just a great way. So what are some other benefits for the company?
Well, that I would like to take up on that for a minute, because we found there's research that actually states that when employees are engaged at a higher level like that, maybe outside of what their quote unquote job responsibilities are, they're much happier at that company. Yeah. So from a job satisfaction perspective, obviously for the company that works well. For the young person that's being mentored, they all of a sudden have a one-on-one relationship with someone who's been successful in a particular field of study that they may or may not have thought of previously. And just having that kind of support system in place helps that child or that student to continue to try and go forward. It's not a case where they don't believe they can achieve that anymore, because they have a mentor that is helping them through those questions and help them to get over humps and things like that. So that's been fantastic, and all the research suggests that mentoring is really, really powerful. I happened to, when I worked at BU, we had suggested that a number of our student athletes get involved as mentors with middle school students. And we found it to be a really powerful exercise for both sets of people. For the middle school students, you have an opportunity to go to a college campus that, quite honestly, even though that middle school was only 3 or 4 blocks away from the university, those students didn't know that school, didn't really have any idea that school existed, or never thought of the fact that they might be able to attend a place like Boston University. On the flip side, for our student athletes, it was an opportunity to see what life is like at a middle school such as the one we were partnering with, and provided an opportunity for our student athletes to know that they were making a difference in the life of a young kid. So that was a really powerful kind of there were things going in both directions there. It was positive for both sides. It was a win-win.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So talk about where we are with the program right now, and how people can get a hold of you, get involved.
Sure. Well, we launched the program about 6 months ago. So we've been in the process of reaching out to corporations of all shapes and sizes. We have a number of programs that are hopeful to be launched here in the next few months. We are actively soliciting help from anyone out there. Any suggestions that people have, you can certainly contact me at mike@collegefes.org. That's my email address here with CFES, and I'm happy to follow up with anyone who might have any information, any suggestions on particular corporations that we might approach. On the flip side, from the education side, if you're interested in learning more about the program and some examples of how we've gone about making this happen, how you might go about extending your work into the corporate world, how you might go about contacting folks in your local area, I'm happy to assist with that as well. We're really looking to expand this on a really large scale. Since we're in so many different states, we feel like there's a lot of opportunities for us, both in urban areas as well as in rural areas. So I don't think the type of company doesn't necessarily make a difference. It's
Right.
more about what that company hopes to achieve in the community, and whether or not they have or believe that they have a role in helping to shape education in their local area. So we're interested in talking with anybody about this program.
Great.
Pretty exciting stuff.
It is very exciting.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Are there any questions, Christina, from our audience?
Not at this time.
Okay. And Mike, is there anything else that you want to add before we sign off?
I'd just like to say that we're really excited about the launch of CCRP, and looking forward to really delivering some robust programming for our students and helping CFES to develop an even broader spectrum of support, which is going to go to help all the kids that we're currently involved with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us,
All right,
Mike.
thanks a lot, Ellie.
And we want to thank you for joining us today. We hope you'll visit the CFES website, collegefes.org. You can watch this recording or previously recorded live chats anytime, and you can find details on our upcoming live chats. And we'll see you next time.